Hi, today I'm going to show you how to recreate this look that I'm wearing. I'm just back from the Cannes Film Festival and I did a lot of makeup there. I did about 9 or 10 makeup looks on Nicole Kidman and 2 on Cara Delevingne. And as I was posting pictures of some of the makeups that I'd done, lots of people were commenting on which were their favourites and which ones they liked and asked me to do a tutorial. So this is kind of a hybrid of a couple of the most popular looks. I'm going to use all drugstore or high street makeup today because I haven't done a video like that for quite a while. So everything I'm using today is available on the high street or in the drugstores. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with eyes because the eye look is a little bit smoky and it might drop down on my face. So the first thing I've used is the primer by ZOEVA, and I've used a thin layer of that all over my lids. And now I'm going to use this palette by ELF, and this is called Mad for Matte. So these are matte shadows. And I'm going to use this dark sort of warm charcoaly shade at the bottom, this matte grey and this matte brown, those three together. I'm just going to pat that onto the primer. This primer is quite a dry primer, so it's quite good if you've got oily eyelids. Now in this look I didn't really go that much above the socket line, but I did at the outer edge, but I did it more once the rest of the eye makeup was on. Kind of winged it out once the lashes and everything were on. So I might just leave it like that for now, which is obviously in need of some blending. Now I'm just going over those edges actually, just to soften them a little bit more. I was going to do this afterwards, but because I've changed the colour, I've decided to use this mid-tone brown with a little bit of this lighter brown, just to diffuse the colour up to the socket line. I think that actually looks better on my eye shape. It is really about just looking straight ahead when you've got the eyeshadow on and seeing what's flattering. So now just cleaning up underneath. And for base I'm going to use L'Oreal's Infallible, and this is a long wearing foundation. I'm just going to buff a thin layer of this all over. Oh, I've already put too much on. Spread that out. I'm going to use a bigger buffer just to buff that in. Okay, so this needs to be a nice illuminated look, and because the skin needs to look so fresh, I'm not going to put a lot of foundation on, just this thin layer. So I'm going to use these Gosh Lumi drops, and this is a liquid highlighter. I'm going to just pat this on. So I haven't done any concealing or anything yet, and then I'm going to buff that into the skin and into the base, so really nicely highlighted all over the cheek area. Not just the high point there. A little bit on the nose. Go easy on that if you're oily, just a touch across the bridge is enough. So I'm just adding some extra coverage where I need it. I've done all around my mouth. I'm using the KIKO Full Coverage Concealer. This is actually 04, bit dark. I wouldn't usually have a shade this dark, but I have got a little bit of a tan still from my holiday at Easter, so a little bit warmer than usual, and I definitely need this underneath my eyes because I look really tired today because I've got season 5 of House of Cards came out 2 days ago, and I've watched 3 the night before last, and then I was tired yesterday and I said I'm only going to watch 1, and I watched it late and ended up watching 2 last night. Ended up going to bed late again, so I've got a feeling it's just so good I'm going to have to keep going and just be tired and use lots of concealer until I've got through this series. It's just so brilliant. So I'm just going to buff. I haven't actually used this concealer before, I'm kind of trialing it out, but so far I really like it. It's a really nice full coverage, and although it's one of those that doesn't feel greasy at all, which is nice, but it doesn't feel dry either. It's kind of like a nice medium. And this warmer shade is actually helping with my blue under eye area, particularly in those inner corners. And this concealer is also really good for doing little pinpoint concealing as well. Oh, I'm impressed with this. For powder, I'm not going to do too much powdering because it really wasn't a powdery look. It was all about kind of looking well made up, looking red carpet, but being in bright sunshine, so it wasn't all powdery. But I'm going to put a tiny bit just to set concealer here and there. Next, I'm going to use a pencil. I only use this really at the outer corner, or from about halfway across, just to fill in between the lashes really. Doesn't have to be a perfect line, it's more of a smudgy thing. And then underneath, just at the outer corner there, and then take a clean brush and smudge the whole thing. And then when you get to the outer corner, just smudge up. What's really nice about this pencil is it's quite sparkly. It's called Black Sparkle. So when you kind of buff out the colour, you're left with all these sparkles. It's really pretty. Okay, so next I'm going to curl my eyelashes. Give them a really good curl. For mascara, I'm going to use Fairy Drops, and this is more of a, well, it's a Japanese drugstore mascara. It's quite an interesting wand. It's got the 3 blobs on, the 3 sort of circles. I was a little bit confused about that at first, but I've got used to it, and I just really love this formula because it doesn't come off underneath the eyes. It doesn't give you panda eyes, and anything that can do that is a winner in my book. And actually this little curved bit at the end that sticks out is very good for kind of hooking around the lower lashes. You can really build them up. Yeah, it's quite fun, this brush. You can sort of, because it's curved as well that way, so you've got, it's like all the tricks you could possibly have are going on all at once. But I think in general, I find that Japanese drugstore mascaras are all very good. I've never really met one I didn't like yet. So lashes are on. You can see they're longer at the outer edge, and it just gives this slightly wingy effect. So on my brows, I'm using NYX Cake Powder, this which has 2 different shades and actually are kind of fixed as well. I'm using the more ashy shade from this particular duo, so it's slightly more grey. I do have some red in my hair, but I don't like red in my brows, and I think it just looks a little bit unnatural when the colour gets too red. So I'm just kind of filling in. So on to blush, and I'm going to use a bright pink, and I'm going to use the shade from this trio by Sleek. These are really good colours for bright kind of blush and very inexpensive. So I'm going to use the bright pink from the centre and just do a really nice shape. Not really an apple shape, but a kind of big C. Well, payoff is very, very good from those. Just need to calm it down, in fact. I'm just going to put a touch of translucent powder just to blend that in. Actually should have done that before I put the blusher on. Silly me. Here we go. For lips, I'm going to do quite a nude rose, like a rosy nude colour. So I'm just going to go all over first with this colour, and then using a softer pink pencil. Buff over the top of the lips. and then use it to create a shape. I'm going to overdraw top and bottom. Okay. Good colour. So for my eyes, I'm going to use a clean eye brush and just buff everything. And this is where I'm going to kind of create my shape. I'm kind of picking up a bit of the colour, and then I'm able to, now that the makeup's all on, sort of wing out a little bit more at those edges. Now that I've got the lashes on, and I can see more the shape of the eyes. And I'm also going to put a little bit of light at the inner corner. Because the eye palette I used was matte, I'm going to now use this eye palette, which is a Bourjois one, and use this colour at the centre to add some sparkle and shine. And that kind of went everywhere. So I'm just going to use a Q-tip. There we go. This is quite a highlightery look, particularly on the skin. So I might even use the blush brush that I used earlier on and use a tiny bit of this sparkly colour just over the top. Don't want it too glittery for the red carpet, but a little bit of sparkle is nice. There's nothing really left on this brush, but it's just quite nice to go over makeup at the end and make sure it's all nicely blended. So that's the finished look, a really nice smoky eye, but because the rest of the face is quite light, it feels very modern and very quick and easy to do. And I think these kind of rose pinks suit everyone. Obviously adapt the shade of rose pink depending on your skin tone. So if you have a darker skin tone than me, you'll need a richer, brighter colour on the cheeks and a deeper rose, a more vibrant colour on the lips. But you can tell kind of what works for you when you try it on. If it makes your eyes sparkle, then it's the right shade of lipstick. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you soon.